Hey guys, Brandon Cawood. Thank you for checking out this tutorial. If you look at my portfolio, I have some images in there that have fire in them. I have different firefighter shots and things like that. But I've always used real flames, and I was just recently introduced to a new feature in CC 2014 that I could see coming in really handy in the future. I just wanted to maybe introduce you guys to this if you haven't seen it yet. It's a pretty cool feature, and it's got a lot of possibilities, and I could see it being used in many different ways. You could use it as much or as little as you want. It really just depends on your creativity. So let's jump in here. As you can see, this picture of my super sexy wife has lots of fire elements. It's created in Photoshop. Fire on the hand is created in Photoshop. This fire back here. So let's kind of get in here and let's mess around. Let me show you guys how this works. All right, so you're gonna want to make a new layer, and then you're gonna want to grab your pen tool. Let's see. Let's hide this. All right. And basically, what you do, you create a path. Let's create a path along this building. It's a real simple path. Doesn't have to be amazing. All right, you have your path created. Let's go off the page. Go to Filter, Render, Render Flame. Let's give that a second to open up. As you can see, this window here opens up. I have noticed that if I try to do anything in this window while I'm screen recording, that it takes forever and gets really laggy. So I'm not going to make any adjustments right now. I just want to kind of show you guys some of the different options. You can choose the direction or the type of flame that you want, whether it's one flame or multiple flames, or you even can choose candlelight down here. You can choose the length of your flames, which would obviously be how long they are. The width, this is especially useful if you're like doing a flame going like up the side of a building or something like that. You can make it thicker or thinner. The angle, obviously, that's self-explanatory, what angle or direction the flames are gonna go towards. The interval is kind of how much gap there is between each flame. The further over you get this way, you get a lot more spaces that don't have any flames in it. Turbulence, jag, opacity, they all kind of make sense just, by what they are. Your flame style, you can do a normal, violent, or flat. The violent tends to look pretty good as well. You can choose the flame shape depending on the direction, what kind of flame it is, things like that. Pretty cool. And then they've got this cool setting here where you can choose the quality. If you just wanted to test it out, you could choose a draft quality, and if you like it, finish working on your picture, and at the very end come back and redo it. You can also create a preset. I've created some presets. This one right here, building flame, that's the one we're doing right now. So it's pretty cool, a pretty cool feature. I'm gonna hit cancel, and then once it renders out, it's gonna look something like this. And that's what it looks like. I like to turn it to screen. It gets a little. Let me actually zoom out real quick. Here, let's go back from normal. Normal. It all depends on what you like. I like to turn it to screen. It just makes it a little bit more transparent. You kind of see through it a little bit better. Then of course you want to go to your paths and deselect the path, so you don't have your actual path showing up anymore. Let's see. Let's go on to the hands. So same sort of thing here. I'm just gonna do a real simple path really quick. So just follow the outlines of the fingers. Something like that. Then you would follow the same steps again. Filter. Well, I just made my own mistake. Let me deselect this path. Go back. Like I said before, you want a new layer. You want to put this on a new layer always. That way you can, warp it or adjust it or whatever. With like these fingers, I'm going to do one finger at a time. Then I'm going to put them on, their own layer. So that way I can take the flames and I can warp it the way that I want. So I followed the same steps, filter, render flame. I did the same thing and ended up creating something like this. So I kind of, each one I did separate. That way I could, warp it to the finger how I wanted it and things like that. And then of course, same thing. Deselect the path. Path is gone. Bada boom, bada bing. And then what I did with this image, I actually incorporated a real flame. So I, blended these two together to kind of create this sort of thing. Okay, one other cool feature while we're talking about render flames, just something I kind of came up with. I was like, surely there's a way that I can create my own sparks. And so here is what I did. I get a really small pin. I use a really small brush, hard brush. Basically, make it black. And I just start putting all kinds of dots everywhere. You can see these with a lag, but it's slowly popping up. I'm on a new layer, so I'm not actually affecting any layers. All its own layer. Let that catch up. So now I've got all these little dots. So when I go over here, I grab my magic wand tool and I select an empty space. And then of course I'm going to inverse my selection. So now only my little dots that I just made are selected. So then I'm actually gonna go to my path channel, and this little icon right here, you can click this and it'll turn your selection into a path. So now you have this path that is all these little bitty dots. And as I said before, the render flame tool only works with paths. So you would go up here, render flame, take 2 years. Okay. And then for this, we basically want to make our length and our width pretty small. So once you reduce that length and your width, you end up with this. That kind of resembles a spark. So let's hit OK. Actually, let's change the quality down here so it's doesn't take 10 years to do it. Okay, hit OK. All right, look at this. Not perfect. Like I said before, it's running really slow, so I didn't spend a ton of time on it. Go to your path, deselect the path. You'll notice you have all these little black dots, which you probably don't want, but that's easily fixed by making it a screen blending mode. And there we go. So then, just like in my Sparks and Embers tutorial, you can duplicate the layer. Let's go up here. Add a Gaussian blur of about 30. Adds a little bit of a glow. These sparks ended up being a little bit big, so let's do this. Let's maybe shrink them down to where they look more like sparks. There we go. Now we've got these little sparks that we just created ourselves. Maybe add a motion blur. Bottom layer. Motion blur. Oh, that's too much. So we just created our own sparks. So there we go. like I said, you can take this as far as you want to. This is my final image that I did. It's a really cool feature. It's one that's worth taking the time to get in there, mess around with, come up with your own custom presets. Each little preset's going to work different depending on how big the area you want to cover is and things like that. I hope this was somewhat beneficial for you guys as always. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you would like to keep up with my tutorials, of course, subscribe to YouTube. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brandon_Cawood. Thank you guys once again, and have a good one.
Please let me do this right.